If you were to ask most fans of Night in the Woods who their favorite character is, aside from May, of course, I think most would say Gregg. Because he rules, okay? But hey, joking aside, in a game full of incredible characters, it's important to take a look at why Gregg has resonated with the fanbase in such a powerful way. We can point to his best moments, like putting cups on his ears and doing crimes, to his relatable struggles and wonderful relationship with Angus, or his awesome character design, or the excellent levels he's involved in, especially the knife fight and building the animatronic creature. And yet, to me, I don't think that any of these things are quite what sets Gregg apart from the rest. As a piece of interactive media, we experience May's bond with Gregg through her eyes. What he means to her, ultimately, is far more important than what he means to us. It's this bond, I believe, that's made so many of us fall in love with Gregg. It's the type of bond that, above all else, is something that I believe each of us longs for in our own lives. Because at the end of everything, what we all deserve is a friend like Gregg. The opening hour of Night in the Woods is noteworthy in how it conveys a sense of failure and melancholy. May's homecoming to Possum Springs is anything but a jubilant affair. Her parents forget to pick her up from the train station. One of the first people she runs into is Aunt Mall Cop, who jokes about putting her in jail. And her initial conversation with her mother is pretty bleak, focused entirely on trying to pry open her reason for leaving college. In other words, not a single person May meets in these early moments is truly happy to see her, until she steps into the Snack Falcon and reunites with Gregg. Unlike everyone else, who treats May as an afterthought or a screw-up, Gregg is overjoyed to see his old friend back home. He questions her surprise appearance, just as anyone else would, but his excitement is palpable, so much that it stands in stark contrast to how everyone else responded to her. It's an important reaction, because it signals to the player that Gregg is not just the best friend May could ever ask for, but that he is going to be one of the foremost characters in the game's narrative, and one of the key contributors to May's growth. And he does it through moments just like this. Moments where he demonstrates his overwhelming love and support for her. If you look close enough, the first few minutes of this encounter between May and Gregg are a microcosm of their whole friendship. Gregg bombards May with his infectious energy, tossing a ton of positive vibes her way. He might question her a bit, but he doesn't judge her. And to top it all off, he then takes her off to do something that's bound to make her feel better. In this case, playing bass with her old band. Throughout the rest of the game, Gregg continues to fill this type of role for May. Even when May gets drunk at the party in the woods and makes an absolute fool of herself, going so far as to bring up Angus's father, Gregg takes it easy on her. No one would have blamed Gregg for popping off here. Angus's family is a really sore subject, and May blatantly references the alcoholism that caused some serious trauma for him when he was younger. Given that he's taken on a protective role in Angus's life, it's noteworthy that Gregg handles this incident the way he does. As the game continues, Gregg's support of May only grows. When May tells her friends about what she's been dealing with the day after Harfest, about her strange dreams and the ghost she saw, Gregg has her back right away. It doesn't matter to him that it's a fairly ridiculous story. It doesn't matter to him that May's return to Possum Springs has been less than stellar so far. It doesn't matter to him that she has a history of mental illness and a violent past that would make many doubt a tale like this. He wants to help her in whatever way he can, even if it means doing crimes. In the early part of the game, doing crimes is a mostly light-hearted refrain to describe some mildly delinquent activities May and Gregg get into. Does anyone really care about them smashing light fixtures? Or taking an animatronic that no one was going to miss? That's all small potatoes to Aunt Mall Cop. But by the end of the game, doing crimes takes on an entirely different context. When May and Gregg go to the Historical Society, they literally break into the place. If they had been caught, they'd have been up for some serious charges, and that's if Ede didn't get to them first, of course. I'm in no way criticizing their actions here. I'm just noting the huge step Gregg willingly takes from building up his troubled friend with some lighthearted but ill-advised activities to risking jail time in search of a ghost. It's an ironclad level of devotion that speaks to who he is as a character. Of course, his actions at the Historical Society pale in comparison to what he does at the end of the game. With the cult breathing down May's neck, my dude shows up in the woods with his crossbow and straight up shoots Eid. It's an awesome scene, one that had my wife and I cheering on our couch the first time we played it. And in the context of his character, this is his shining moment. The moment where everything we've seen from him comes together to prove that he would truly do anything for May. Because that's the type of friend Gregg is. A constant, unwavering supporter. He's her ride or die. It's that dynamic that makes him so appealing, because it's something all of us long for in our own lives. If you've ever been through a truly tough time, maybe the loss of a relative, a breakup, or a bout with mental illness, then you know how valuable a friend like this can be. At times like this, we're fragile. So every mistake we make seems deathly serious, magnified by our weakness. Certain that we are in fact at the end of everything, we really do hold on to anything, even our errors. But a good friend, a true friend, a ride or die friend will support you through those mistakes. Whether it's by providing you with the best comfort food, like pizza and donuts, or doing the fun things that highlight the good times, like smashing light fixtures and knife fighting. And when the world comes at you, with all of its darkness, they'll be at your back. Maybe even with a crossbow. In my last Night in the Woods video, I spoke openly about my own struggles with mental illness. Part of the reason that I'm able to get through the tough times is because I have people like Gregg in my life. For me, that's my wife and my best friend from high school. When I'm at my worst, I know I can count on them to help me get through it. And I hope you've got someone like that in your life too. I hope you've got a Gregg. Someone who supports you no matter what. Someone who makes sure you do the things that you love. Whether that's playing bass or doing crimes. And someone who's ready to take on a cult with a crossbow when shit really hits the fan. He's the friend we all deserve. And that's why he rules. Okay? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. This is the first video essay in a multi-part series exploring the roles and narrative importance of some of the key characters from Night in the Woods. But next time, we're going to take a detour into some lore and speculation as we try to solve one of the game's biggest mysteries. See you then.